Kamilka. I'm professionally an architect and interior designer based in Sri Lanka, Colombo.
Hi, I'm Beshan Kulapala. I'm an engineer by profession.
And I'm also an artist in my spare time. And this is Yuri.
I love to innovate and look at new product engineering designs, as well as look at how technology can solve our day-to-day life problems.
From the Cubicle.
What was your first big breakthrough in the industry?
The big breakthrough for me in the automotive industry was to run the Vega supercar at 3.1 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour with all homegrown technology. I think that was a big milestone for me and the team.
The first breakthrough that I can think of is the very first big, so-called big project that I got after I started freelancing as an architect and an interior designer, which was a cafe down Ward Place. And I felt very privileged to have come across that.
How do you stay updated and relevant?
I think it's very important that I keep learning new things and trying out those new things. Otherwise, it's very difficult to train a fellow employee or to have technical discussions with them. So I force myself to do some coding from time to time just to stay updated.
Social media is very much part of that conversation. I stay updated by following like-minded designers or creative professionals across, because I think we draw inspiration from one another, and therefore you're filled with creative notions by looking at pages that you like to follow.
How do you address negative feedback?
I use the negativity as a positive thing to understand how people see our products and services and try to improve on them. But also it genuinely gives me the giggles to kind of keep going and do better at what we do.
Sometimes the pinch of salt, but I think there's something to learn also from negative feedback. You should really listen to it, and if truthfully stands, you can definitely take it as a learning and better yourself at whatever that has happened which has caused negative feedback.
How much flexibility do you have in determining how you perform your job?
I feel I have enough flexibility to learn new things, to try out new things. We are very open to trying out and failing. We want to fail quickly to understand how to do things better. So I feel I'm blessed to be in an environment where I can be flexible to be successful.
Flexibility with your daily schedule is one of the perks of working for oneself, and I think if I'm to rate, I'm very, very flexible with my schedule, and I think that's a privilege in this day and age.
What do you find unique about your career field?
So in technology, what is unique and really valuable is that technology touches everything of human behavior, from medical to education to how we communicate with each other. So I feel very blessed to be in a field like that, where whatever we do, whatever products and services we build, has the capability to change how humans behave and how we interact with one another.
Architecture and related work, or interior and related work, is definitely not a desk job. It differs because it's never the same thing. There is no monotony in what you do, and it's one of the things that I absolutely love, because you're not stuck in the same environment any given day. We meet clients of all walks of life, then you go and meet your teams at respective sites with varied different situations and scenarios. So I think that is what's unique in the work that I do.
From the Cubicle.
What has been the most important part of your journey so far?
I think it's building teams, because it has given me the opportunity to bring various differently skilled people together and to develop new technologies that Sri Lanka hasn't seen before. So I think it's all due to the people that were brought together and their passion and their expertise, and I think that is quite a privilege to be part of.
The most important part of the journey, it's a tricky question. On a personal level, there's been many. On a work level, I would think the actual decision to having come from a very, very sought after architecture firm in Sri Lanka, taking the stance to go solo is probably the most memorable part of the journey for me, and I've never looked back, and it's a decision that I'm very proud of.
How have you handled tough times during COVID and the current climate in the country?
Especially with COVID, we have learned to be flexible, to understand each other, and to be mindful about all of the needs that our employees have to make sure that they can come do their work properly. So we have been very flexible and been very patient with our employees to make sure that they can operate safely and that they have enough support to not for them, just themselves, but for their families as well.
Sometimes you become that intermediate or the in-between person between the client and the sites. And at a time where during COVID, especially when we went through waves 1 and 2, architecture and construction is one of the fields that were allowed to go on. And we need to take precaution and also be mindful of the fact that the privileges that you have to wear the masks and the shields and all of that was not a luxury that some of the workers in the sites had, but we needed to make sure that all parties concerned were safe. And that was one of the things that I took on personally, to make sure that everyone around me, as well as myself and my team, was kept safe. And we were very helpful and supportive of each other's journeys and where we come from to do our work.
What are some areas of growth in your field?
Especially with the economic crisis, people are looking at alternative sustainable technologies for transport, for their home energy needs. So now you see a lot of e-bikes that are growing in the market. Electric vehicles in particular will also grow naturally, and then home energy needs, having home storage systems for your energy to have enough power during blackouts is going to be also a huge growth area in the future.
Sustainability as a word has been very much part of the conversation in architecture globally, but I feel now is the time that we must make it not become just a word, but be integrated into the actual society. The work we do does not mean that we only do buildings. We can design cities, we can take design into so many aspects of our society to make life more sustainable, given that we are in a crisis situation where resources are very scarce. So I think there is a lot of growth potential there that we must focus on our cities and urban planning.
What's the vision you have for your company?
We want to take our products globally. I mean, this is our number one focus right now, to not just cater for the local market, but to take our products to India, to some of the African countries, and then also to the larger European and US markets.
My vision is very domestic, if I may say. I would love to have a studio that opens out to a garden. It's very, very simple. But being in a creative field of work, I think it's really necessary to have that space you require to delve into that design realm. Right now I work from home, but who knows? That's where I want to be, a little studio with a garden space.
If you had one piece of advice to someone just starting out, what would it be?
I would say it's a challenging time for sure, but don't get disheartened. Follow your dreams, because with every challenging situation there is opportunity, and I think running away from problems isn't the answer. But if you really are passionate about something and you have the necessary skills and tools to pursue it, you can get it done.
Starting on your own is risky. You must know that you have the skill set to go solo, and you must be aware that you have the skill set to go solo. If you are working for somebody or in a company, please know that you're not going to have your set income, so you must be prepared to face hard times before things pick up and get better for you, and that is my experience. So I would say definitely take the leap, but you need to be aware and mindful and ask yourself whether you're ready for it and whether you have the financial backing on your own to kind of last slow couple of months or the first year where things would be tough at first.
From the Cubicle.
Differences do you see in each other as business personalities?
So I'm a very technical person. I look at products and services as a business, how to capitalize it, make money, to export that to other countries. And I think she looks at it from a very much from a creative angle.
The biggest difference is he's a business personality and I don't consider myself one, so that's the difference. But on a career path-wise, it's left brain, right brain, very technical, and I'm very on a very organic, creative realms. But I think uniquely though, there is creativity and design involved in your work as well, which is nice to see, and it's common ground for us both. I really don't see how technology plays in architecture, but it does. But
It sure does.
Yeah.
What advice would you give each other?
I've been telling Kamilka that you had to look at creativity, architecture, art as something that you can export and give it to other countries and be able to capitalize on that, and not just look at the local kind of a market.
Agree, but just to respond to that, my dreams and how I look at it are quite small. That's how I am engaged in the work that I do. The advice that I probably have for him is, I really strongly believe that we need to take time outside of our work for ourselves, and it's something that I diligently make time for, carve out time for myself, and it's something that you don't do much of, so maybe give more time for yourself because you deserve it.
What's your impression of each other with regards to handling stress?
I think Kamilka handles stress much better than I do. She's able to compartmentalize it and be able to handle different fires at different times of the day, whereas I am more on a one problem, one solution kind of a person.
Yes, I agree, but I also think that you're very good at, although there may be a sea roaring and raging inside of you in terms of stress and at a situation, you're also very good at not being hysterical about it, which is great because, as you said, I would like to think that I manage stress well, and if one of us were one of those hysterical stress dealers, it would have been a very difficult situation to work out.
How do you define success?
Success for me is how much impact that I'm making to society, how many lives that we touch with our technology or whatever the work that we do outside of work or in. I think it's important that we use that as a measurement because that is what really will change this country.
Success is for me at least, not one grand word as such. I think it's a series of small, maybe not so prominent steps that you take towards an end goal. And success changes shape and size as you go in life, because a success that you consider an accomplishment many years ago may seem so irrelevant now. So I think goals and success changes with you. He also stole my answer, but I agree that it is what, at the end of the day, it is the impact in our relevant work, the impact that you make on society and on individual people, because we are all here on earth together like this big melting pot or village. So I think if you're conscious and mindful of that, work becomes not really a job but a duty of sort.
What do you think about this program?
We really love this program. Thank you for having us, and it's lovely to share our thoughts with you all.
It's a different segment. It's different to the other times that I've been on Hi. Definitely something that we enjoyed. Thank you so very much for having us. Keep safe.